Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle World of Darkness bundle of October 2022. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? If you want to know more about game deals, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm also a Humble partner now, so if you click on the link in the description below, you can choose to donate to yours truly when you buy the bundle, if you want to. Anyway, let's get into this. And number 1 we have Wraith, the Oblivion, Afterlife. A first-person VR horror game set in the World of Darkness universe. You play as Ed Miller, a photographer who dies in mysterious seance and has become a wraith, a restless undead spirit with unfinished business in the land of the living, like the plot of many horror films. Now, you don't know why you died, and being the curious wraith that you are, you use your supernatural abilities to explore the Barclay Mansion, the site of your untimely death, to reveal its dark secrets and to hopefully find an escape that you seem to be trapped in. Be warned though, you are not alone. The gameplay mostly consists of stealth and item puzzles, with some light combat elements and use of the aforementioned supernatural abilities. And all those gameplay elements work very well in VR. Throughout your exploration, you'll encounter hostile specters who are spirits of wrath and vengeance, roaming the mansion's halls waiting for the opportunity to murder you again. These hostile specters are horrific to behold, with grotesque injuries, creepy lurching animations, and surprising aggressions. Many of the stealth experience can be filled with tension, and it is highly satisfying once you've managed to outwit your opponents. Throwing an object to distract these specters while you slowly creep around them, making as little noise as possible, feels awesome. The 6 to 7 hour story is full of plot twists and horrifying revelations, with plenty of collectibles to hunt down. The atmosphere is convincing, very creepy that every step through the halls feels risky and dangerous. The sound design and music are also designed to make you feel uneasy at all times. What about jump scares? There aren't too many of them, but where they pop out are thankfully effective. Some complaints of this game is that some of the stealth sections feel forced with unbalanced AI, and some people found that the gameplay is a bit too repetitive. So if you're looking for a decent VR horror experience, Wraith, the Oblivion, Afterlife is one to play. Just be sure you don't die from the jump scares. And number 2 we have Vampire, the Masquerade, Out for Blood. A text-based adventure game. You play as the role of an ordinary muggle in the World of Darkness who has returned to his or her hometown of Jericho Heights after your grandfather passed away. There's something strange going on in the town, involving none other than vampires. The cool thing about a text-based narrative game is your impact on the overall story based on your decisions. If you've played AAA narrative games, you'll notice that no matter what decision you make, you'll ultimately lead to the same result, bar some differences like character deaths and responses. But if a text-based narrative game, it costs nothing to write alternative responses to events, so you can end up playing very different characters from the start till the end. You could choose to be a Hispanic angel who is faithful to the occult and can't fight to save its life, or you could be a cynical human who desperately wants to become a vampire. The game will take you through stories that you can never imagine, like you may end up a traitor even though you try to make the right choices. This increases replay value significantly as the story will turn out very differently based on your decisions. Out for Blood focuses more on tension over combat, and you can actually finish the game with almost no combat. There's always an opportunity to talk your way through conflicts, even though sometimes it is impossible to avoid a physical conflict. The town that the game is set in also feels alive, with many colorful characters that you'll come to know the more times you play this game. If you like a deep text-based RPG, then you may just enjoy this. And number 3 we have Vampire, the Masquerade, Sins of the Sires. A text-based adventure game. Taking place in Athens, you play as a young person who can be male, female, or binary, and you've been recently turned into a vampire. You've been adopted by an elder vampire, and much of the game revolves around interacting with your sister in the adopted family. Things quickly spiral out of control when the vampires in Athens go to war, and you must choose who to ally with, who to trust, who to betray, and most importantly, survive in a world that is against you. You can pick different vampire traits for your character as part of your narrative, but not directly as if picking from a multiple choice question. As an example, you could select that you feel a connection with animals, and the game will assign you points in animalism. Other skills like stealth or fighting will be given a percentile value that changes over time based on your decisions in the game. There is however little need to keep track of your skills, as your skills kind of fade into the narrative. This game is very linear compared to other Vampire the Masquerade's text-based adventure games. But you can choose to adopt a cat and name it, and it can pop out at interesting times in the game, so be sure to get one. The problem with the game is that your choices don't seem to really matter in the end. Like you may have points in your hide ability, but when you do choose to hide in the game, instead of using your vampire ability, your character just hides behind a trash can, and then you get spotted immediately. The annoying part is that why didn't your character just use its abilities? Another thing is that some of the decisions early on can really screw up your character with no way to turn it around, and sometimes the story just kinda jumps around a little bit, creating a confusing narrative. Overall, Sins of the Sires is one of the weakest in the series, but if you want to try it out anyway, you can in this bundle. And number 4 we have Vampire: The Masquerade, Parliament of Knives. An interactive novel set in yet again the World of Darkness universe. You play as the child of Ottawa Senescal, Eden Corliss. You're highly placed in the Ottawa Camarilla, but function more like a glorified secretary and occasionally mercenary, so not too powerful nor influential. After being ordered to fight some anarchs, you are drawn into the conspiracy regarding the city's missing prince. It's a mystery what has happened to him. It doesn't matter though, as Eden is the most likely to ascend in his place, but everyone has their own plans in motion. This game is significantly longer than most of the other entries, and dives deep into politics, backstabbing kindred relationships with plenty of opportunities for alternate routes. You can side with multiple factions throughout your time in this interactive novel. It is a game of absolute freedom with plenty of choices. You can choose to freely form and break different alliances based on new information presented to you. The story presents some great twists and turns, keeping your interest. The writing could be more flowery than other entries, but you may or may not like this. Unlike other The Masquerade stories, majority of traits are missing, but you do maintain your attributes. Instead, the primary system to keep track of is your relationships with other vampires that are measured in percentage points. In saying that Parliament of Knives is a solid entry into the series, it may not be the most beginner-friendly with plenty more to read than the other entries, but this game also has more replay value than the rest. And number 5 we have Vampire: The Masquerade, Night Road. Another text-based adventure game set in the World of Darkness. You play as a newly embraced vampire that has recently acquired a job as a courier for Camarilla, the vampire government. In the world of humans, being a courier may be easy, handing over messages and leaving. But in the world of vampires, it is a harder job than it sounds, as vampires, for some reason, likes shooting the messenger. This game takes place entirely in the American Southwest, primarily Arizona, and makes use of real-world events around 2019 like tackling immigration, healthcare crisis, and technobabble solutions to the environment. But not COVID-19 though, as the story was written prior to the lockdowns. Besides, hunting humans in a lockdown will be difficult as you'll have to either break into houses all the time or drink the blood of police, which is never a good idea. The politics are well incorporated into the storyline and actually enhances it. You can choose to exploit free hospitals to feed your unnatural appetite, feed from imprisoned migrant workers, controlled by a deranged elder vampire, or even actually be a goodie and help the humans inside. There's definitely a polarity in your choices, whether good or bad. The government is also actively hunting vampires in secret through cell phones and other modern forensics. Hunters can stalk you and blow your daylight haven. Or you can choose to just side with the government and hunt down your own kind. The variety of choices is definitely the best part of Night Road. You can choose from a variety of clans, respond to situations in numerous ways, and be a monster or a hero, or even both. If you like the freedom to be who you want to be and make choices for yourself, Night Road is an awesome game to get into. And number 6 we have Vampire: The Masquerade, Shadows of New York. A visual novel set in, once again, the World of Darkness. Even though this is a visual novel, there is no voice acting, so you'll be reading quite a bit and looking at static artwork. You play as Julia, a young reporter who has her life utterly destroyed by forces beyond her comprehension. Before you know it, you are embraced and you become a La Sombra, which is a vampire with superhuman strength, the ability to bend minds, and control over shadows and see ghosts. The clan that you're in is considered the scum of Camarilla, and you're always bullied and be given the worst jobs. You're eventually assigned an important job, which is unusual from your usual crappy jobs, to investigate the murder of Anarch Baron Callahan. Nobody expects you to succeed, and you're only on the case to appease the Callahan clan. You're smart enough to actually uncover some deep dark secrets though, but the question is, should you? The choices are ultimately yours to make, which will affect your morality meter that will determine if you're a hero or a monster, leading you to different endings. Your character Julia has a lot of personality and is enjoyable to follow her adventures. The game deals with the concept of truth versus propaganda, aka fake news. You'll constantly find that the truth is less important than your ability to convince people of your version of events. Our good friend COVID-19 also pops his ugly head in this story, but doesn't get too much exposure. The difference with this game is that hunger is not really a thing, so the stress of needing to feed is not present. In addition, choices are quite limited in this game, so it is more of a visual novel than a game. However, the story is still really good, so if you like a semi-interactive visual novel involving vampires and politics, this game could be for you. And number 7 we have Werewolf: The Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. A visual novel with a surprising amount of choices and RPG elements. This visual novel features a rather unique and creative blend of interactivity and constantly evolving plot threads. You play as Maya, an American university student who has a strong, near-mystical connection to the Białowieża forest in Poland. The weird part is that she's never even been to Poland. She travels there with a friend. When you arrive, you find out that there's tension between environmental activists and some loggers. The plot then thickens significantly from there, where you try to solve a mystery of the connection between you and the forest, while uncovering familial secrets and helping to keep things from escalating in the protests. Oh yes, and there are werewolves involved. Every playthrough will be a vastly different experience. Sometimes you'll be presented with an RPG-like world map where you can choose where to go, and that will drive the story forward. You're an active participant in Maya's life, in shaping it based on every decision that you make. Depending on your personality, story results, and your rapport levels with other characters, certain events will change significantly. Every choice you make will have some kind of impact on the overall ending. Your character is incredibly detailed with varied customization. You have a journal to keep track of your personality traits obtained throughout your playthrough, and these gets altered based on your choices. Choices made will impact your health, willpower, and rage, which will determine the kinds of responses that you can give. Even though you have a ton of personality, other characters in this novel, though, not so much. It's hard to feel for other characters besides yourself, and even when the story is drastically affecting some characters, don't expect to have any emotional reaction to them. The story is also a bit of a mixed bag. Despite some of these flaws though, Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest is an engrossing visual novel with heavy RPG elements. And number 8 we have Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Another visual novel based around the World of Darkness universe. You can play as a character from several different clans, with different abilities like the Bruja with their Hulk-like physical prowess, Toreador with super speed and supernatural senses, or Ventru, controller of minds and have enhanced resilience. Instead of playing as a set character, you get to name your character this time around. The intro to the story is basically the same, regardless of which clan you choose. After a bad breakup, you fall into the arms of a vampire who bites you, turning you into a vampire, thus starting the story. This story is about vampires living in secret, of backstabbing politics, and of uneasy alliances. In order to acquire status in the vampire underworld, you have to form a coterie, a sort of gang if you may. Depending on your decisions, each playthrough will be very different from the last, so if you want to see everything, you will be playing through this visual novel over and over again. Feeding is an important aspect of the game. If you do not feed, you may start to lose your humanity and become a primal beast. Even feeding isn't just about grabbing any stranger to drink their blood, as you have to consider a few things, like are you on another vampire's turf, and what are you supposed to be doing besides charring down another person's blood. However, sometimes your choices feel meaningless, as making a choice that is not agreeable with another character simply upsets them, before they jump into another line as if you have just pleased them instead. In saying that, some characters will present you with some storylines that are neatly twisted, some tinged with sadness, while some other storylines are basically a commentary about today's surveillance culture and fake news. This visual novel does try a little bit too hard to reference pop cultures, like Netflix, Fortnite, and Mad Men. Also, after a few playthroughs, you'll find that some events are just unavoidable regardless of your choices. It's not a visual novel without its flaws, but if you like visual novels rather than just text-based, you might just enjoy this. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is great if you like to read or be involved in the story and the world of vampires, and a werewolf. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.